This is Dad. Testing, and testing again. I'm very testing.
It is Father's Day on Sunday, and my father happens to be with me here at Manx Radio. So I thought, I'm going to be brave, and I'm going to ask you, Dad, to tell me what I was like as a child. Was I unbearable?
How much time do we have, honey?
Just open your window and follow your memory upstream.
No, you were absolutely delightful, but very inquisitive, and always singing. Always singing.
Really?
Singing all the time. And every time you were singing to the song of the period, you would always sing in harmony. Always. Every place you went, you were singing, and usually in harmony. Constantly, from as long back as I can remember.
You see, you're saying this very sweetly, but
No,
to have
true.
a small child singing all the time must have been pretty annoying.
I didn't answer that. I wasn't going to reply to that.
I'm gonna watch you shine, gonna watch you grow.
Okay, well listen, one of the things we've been talking about this week is how different it is for fathers nowadays. Okay, so we did a piece about what it means to be a modern day dad. You obviously know plenty of young people as well who are fathers too. Do you think there's a difference now, how, the way they are as dads to how they used to be?
Definitely is different.
In what way?
Because the women have changed, not the dads.
Oh, controversial.
Well, since when I was growing up, there wasn't any women's lib. There was very few women worked. Very few women were the main fundraisers for the house. So therefore, it was more a case of the men going out and working, and the woman was at home all the time. Now, sometimes it's even reversed completely, isn't it? So that changes the role of the dad a little bit. And in cases where it still is the dad that works, they don't work quite as long hours, I think. They tend to be off more than when I was growing up, which was easily 5 days, sometimes 6 days, and at least 8 or 9 hours a day, which is not the case nowadays. So they weren't home as much. So I think that has changed the role, yes. Yeah.
Okay, what is the best thing about being a dad?
Looking back at when you three girls were much younger, looking at the change, because dads never get older. We never get older, but our children do, and it's fun to watch.
That's very interesting. And obviously we had grandparents over here, but I didn't actually ever meet your father.
No.
So tell me a little bit about your dad.
A total business all the time. He'd work easily 6 days a week, and sometimes 10 or 11 hours a day, because he was an engineer, a mechanical engineer, and he was in charge of a large plant, so he had a lot of responsibility. So therefore, we didn't see him that much, and when he came home, he was very quiet. He'd sit down, light his pipe, and read the newspaper, and that's just what he did, because that was before television, so it was all newspapers then. But also, when he came home, he was the one that had to discipline us if we'd been naughty. Mother used to use that as a threat. You got to wait till your dad gets home, and he's going to take, and he hated to do that. So he kind of took us in another room and said, okay, now when I say so, yell as loud as you can and act like you're hurt. So,
does that mean you were naughty?
And we were naughty, yes. Yeah, sometimes. Not a lot.
Hey, take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and cracker jack.
I imagine, because obviously you grew up in the States, and
yes.
I think most people thinking back to those times when kids were growing up in the States, you have this image in your head of fathers and sons with baseball mitts and baseball and sort of playing catch in the garden. Did you do anything like that?
Oh, we did on the weekends. Oh, yes, definitely. In our back garden was a baseball pitch. It was a fairly good-sized back garden, and it was all lined off as a baseball pitch. So we had 4 bases. The 3, the home base and the other 3 bases, and a pitcher's mound right in the middle. So we were out playing baseball all the time.
One thing I remember, we talk about, sort of how much time dads spend with their children nowadays. You were actually away quite a lot when we were kids because of the nature of your job, but you used to always bring little things home for us. Do you remember that?
Yes, I did, yes. I was away quite frequently. It was most of the time it was traveling when Manx Radio was looking for a larger audience. So I was around in Ireland and in southern Scotland and the northwest of England and Wales. So I would meet people, obviously, that were over there, and we'd interview them at times, too. Do you remember what I brought home one time?
The things I remember,
one that stands
you
out.
bringing home little witches from Clitheroe.
Yes.
But also, didn't you bring home a Rubik's?
I did indeed. I was blessed enough to meet Dr. Rubik in Blackpool.
The actual guy?
Yes,
I didn't know
the
you
actual
met
guy.
him.
Yeah, fascinating fellow. He wasn't that old either. He was probably in his 40s, late 30s, early 40s. Fascinating fellow. And we spent at least an hour together. And he also gave me a Rubik's Cube that he was working on that wasn't quite completely finished. And it was an alphabetical, not a color Rubik's Cube, as they are the different colors you line up. It was actually, take that back, it was a date thing. So you had to arrange the date. It had alphabet and numbers on each
It was
little
a
cube.
calendar, wasn't it? Because
It was like a calendar, and you could arrange the date on the calendar, on the face, a full face. And that was never sold over on the market. I don't think they ever
hope
marketed
we've still
it.
got that.
It was brilliant. We still have it. I've got it at home, yeah.
Good. Mum, if you know where it is, then
Might be worth
let me
$1
know.
million.
Might end up on eBay, because that's my inheritance, Dad.
I'll remember that.
Okay, what advice would you give a new young dad, someone who's about to embark on fatherhood now?
Oh, good question. Patience, and to spend as much time as you can with your children. Try to keep them away as much as you can from the iPads and the computer games so that they can spend time with their dad and the dad can spend time with them. Because I think the communication between dad and children is not as keen as it used to be, because the children don't have time for it. And in some cases, maybe the dad doesn't, because he's behind his iPad too. But it's a shame there's just doesn't seem to be the conversing that we had when you were little, that we spent a lot of family time together.
Oh, thank you very much, Daddy. Happy Father's Day.
You're very welcome. It's my pleasure.